Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hippy Soul Sessions with Sair Zee, your host and guide. This is episode 17, and we've got a very special guest today, Victoria Beths. She's an integrated art mentor and entrepreneur. She is an author, artist, serial entrepreneur. She's got many businesses, and she's had a lifetime of so many different things that I cannot wait for her to share with us this evening. Welcome, Vicki.
Thanks, Sarah. How are you?
Very good. How are you feeling? Good.
Probably a little bit nervous, but all good, all good.
Yep, that's good. Vicki and I have known each other for a few years now.
Yeah, definitely.
I was trying to think of how many years, but
10 years or so.
yeah, good 10
Yeah.
years. We both met each other through the hairdressing industry.
Yep.
Vicki's been a hairdresser, business owner through hairdressing, wholesale owner and entrepreneur.
Yep.
So, Vicki, tell us a little bit about how you've gone from being a hairdresser through to a salon owner, entrepreneur, now artist, and now coaching.
Basically, it was, well, I've always done hairdressing from leaving school. So that's always had, we've owned salons. Some have been highly successful. Some have been just a flop. But anyhow, so from that, we've moved with work, and with work, all our kids left home, grew up, left home. So we became empty nesters. So basically, I wanted something to fill my space, my time. So I started painting, and I quite liked it. So I'm more of a night owl. My husband's more of an early bird. So I had all this free time. So I started painting. The other big thing that I got into as well, because we moved up to Toowoomba, I found it up here extremely hard to make new friends. So, and I think it's because we've come to an area where people have grown up here, they're long-standing, long-term families. People don't need extra friends, not to be mean or horrible. They grew up with everybody. It's not a transient, population. So I then started volunteering at my local gallery and did things like that just to get myself out of the house. And from there, the art career has just grown. So the more I got to meet people, the more I did. And then it's just one thing's led to the other. That's given me connections and networks, and it's just grown from there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So,
and I love how you just take the first step. The first step was just trying something new, and then look what it's grown into from there.
Exactly. And like I said, when I was finding it difficult making like personal friends, like work friends are different, but personal friends, that's when I took that first step and, kept going back, and it's highly different. I'm on committees now, and, I put my hand up for all kinds of stuff. It's great.
Yes. And how are you, how did you transition from doing art and starting your art to now coaching your art as well?
But what I found is that when I've signed up for some committees, you don't realize until, it's like that saying, you don't know if you don't know. But you don't realize what you do know until you're in a position and people ask you for help and you quite happily give it. Then you realize, oh, well, actually, probably know more than I think I know, because I think we all underestimate ourselves. And we underestimate ourselves and think, oh, someone's always going to be better, and someone's always going to be worse. No matter what you do in this life, there's always going to be better and worse. But I tend to think, and I'm ambitious, so I tend to think that's where I want to be. So you forget that even where I'm here, that's still, a lot of people admire that. You forget that because you're ambitious to move forward all the time. So once that started happening, that's when I realized people would come and ask, and then I just started helping more and more, and that's how that evolved.
Yes. And a lot of the time when people ask you things, that actually is like a mirror for you to realize, oh, that is something that I could teach, because people start asking you like similar questions all the time. You're like, okay.
Yeah, so I'm extremely, and I know I'm extremely good at talking with people. So I always call myself the meter and the greeter. So, I always said to my husband, I think I would have made a good spy, not really, but a good spy. So you can put me into a room and, I could find out anything about anybody. And that's the skills you learn in hairdressing. And that's all it is skills that you learn to talk to strangers. And
Yes.
hairdressing is one of those occupations that allows you to move into somebody's personal space and it doesn't feel creepy. You know, like
Yes.
there's not many jobs that do. You let the doctor and the dentist in your personal space and you let the hairdresser.
Yeah.
It's just, and that's, with that comes, you know, you can be a lot more intimate with people and people talk to you. So, you know, so the more you do that, the more things grow because you're actually
Yes.
chatting to people more and more.
Mm.
And I'm awfully good at listening to people and knowing what they're talking about. And I know I've done it with you, Sarah, when we're talking hair stuff and, you know, in the hairdressing industry, listening to you and say, look, why don't you do this? Because you keep talking about it, but you just don't realize you're talking about it.
Yes, exactly. I think hairdressing is a great profession to have when you want to
Yeah,
transition to other professions as well, because it's like all those skills that you get, not just from doing hair, but just all those people skills. And yeah, it makes a massive difference, I think.
it does, doesn't it? Hugely.
Mm.
Everybody loves employing an ex-hairdresser.
Yes, yeah, yep. And I think a lot of a lot of hairdressers go into coaching and go into like
Yes,
bringing people together into
yes, they
groups.
do, don't they? Yeah,
Mm.
because we know how to
Yes.
organize a party.
Yes. We know how to like, yeah, bring everyone together. Music and
Exactly, exactly.
drinks and
Yeah.
whatever else. And so how have
Exactly.
you balanced from being a mum, business owner, grandma as well? Or what do you
Yeah,
like to be called?
yeah.
Grandma
I,
or
I was thinking nanny of both of a nanny.
nanny? Yeah. A nanny and then
Yes.
and also coach, artist. How do you balance all of it? What's your little tips and secrets?
Get a husband that likes doing housework.
Yeah.
So no, I'm very lucky that I've probably learnt more so now not to sweat the stuff that doesn't matter. So when I become focused, I can become almost hyper focused. So if I want something, that's the one thing I see. And if I don't worry about other stuff, I just let it go. And I know we spoke once about guilt associated with buying too many art online courses and too many this
Mm,
or that or whatever. And I
yep.
think, you know, sometimes I haven't done them all. And you reminded me that sometimes all those bring you to the place where, you know, like to learn one thing out of it.
Yes.
I've learnt what
Yep.
I needed to know. So it's been education for me. So
Yes.
that's what I find if I look at stuff. And now, even if I'm, you know, on my path or on my journey, I just might be further along than someone else.
Yes.
But when I'm there, I could buy the same thing and I get one thing out of it that could be worth $1 million to me. But to
Yeah,
someone else,
exactly.
they'll look at the whole. So you don't know
Yeah.
what you don't know. So
No.
yeah, that's how it's
Yes.
fitted in. So I've picked one thing, then I've worked on it, and then I think, well, I better finish working on it because Sarah's going to ask me, have I finished that thing? And she's going to keep gently
Yes.
asking me until I've finished it.
I'll
No,
keep
she's
being on
laughing
you.
because she knows. She keeps asking me about the one thing. I keep saying, oh, it's nearly finished. Oh, it's nearly finished.
I'm like, come on, what are we doing this week?
Yeah, yeah,
It's good.
exactly.
I've actually really enjoyed, like, if for the viewers and the listeners, Vicky's in my soul gift activation program, and she's in for 3 months. It's a group container plus a one-on-one, and yeah, we've been having a lot of fun working together, and we've been working towards Vicky's coaching and bringing out her art online, and it's been
Yes,
a great journey so far.
it has
So
been.
yeah,
And it's great. And just on that note, I wanted to do a shout out to anyone that, and I'm obviously older than Sarah, only by a month or two, I know, but but anyhow, it's been really refreshing and I've coached before myself, but it's really refreshing to be coached by someone of a younger age group. So for anybody that is slightly old, whatever, don't overlook stuff because you think someone's too young or too old or too different or too anything. You learn
yeah,
so many other things because, as you keep saying, it's a mirror. So I'm learning things about myself because you're mirroring that in me.
Yes, yeah. How do you
Awesome.
how did you feel like being coached by someone younger? Like how does it how did you begin feeling, and
Fantastic.
then how do you feel now?
Well, I think at first, the first event I came along to is because I like to be very supportive. And then Sarah
Yes.
did such a great job. I really like the vibe, and I like the vibe of the people that are in there. And I think, and I've even learned in some, I think one of the girls, the youngest, would be in early 20s in the group, I'm
Yep. Yep.
guessing. And then, obviously I'm the oldest one, but what it is that I've learnt stuff off them even being young. And then as you get older, I can say to them, well, like, don't worry about that in 20s. Like, trust me, when you get into your
Yes.
40s and 50s and 60, you
Yep.
kind of think, "Oh, that doesn't really matter." So
Yes. I
it's
think we
been
all
real
teach each other,
valuable.
don't we?
We do, and it's a valuable thing to learn off somebody younger.
Yeah. Yep. I
It,
think
it,
that's a huge topic to bring up, because I think that's from young to older, it like we all teach each other in different ways, and that's what I really like about the group.
yes,
Mm.
yes, it's a very mixed, diverse, and I think I'm the only full-time or professional artist in the group.
Yeah. Yep. And again, that's
Yeah, and
inspiration
even
for the younger ones that are in the group to
yeah,
see you do that. They're like, wow, that's amazing.
yeah, and that's the whole thing, because as you get older, like I said, you don't worry. And I saw a lovely friend of mine that had she was going somewhere up on Facebook, and she was putting up how she was going. And I thought, and I didn't think anything of her. And I thought, well, I need to get out of my own silly head. And because your friends are supportive, and friends can be, all ages and all, all
Right.
fun and everything. Yeah,
Yep. Well, I consider you my friend. I love chatting to you. It's like not work
yeah,
at all. Like we are friends. Like when we chat, there's no age
most
difference. Like
definitely.
when we're chatting and stuff. It's
No.
which is really refreshing.
It is nice. It is nice. And people think you've either got to have a 50 million, certificates on the wall or anything, but
Yep.
that's not, and it's not, because, I truly believe we're all spiritual beings having an earthly experience. So
Yes.
it's about that connection. It's definitely about the connection with each other.
Yes, definitely. And finding like-minded people is a big thing, I think.
Exactly. I mean, so you listen to the amount of people I say, if you really want to know what's happening in the world, talk to a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
It
They'll tell
is
you.
amazing. Yeah, they'll tell you exactly what they think.
Yeah. Definitely no filter there. And again, if
No,
we learn from
they
them, we really need to take a leaf out of the 4-year-old's book and say what we think.
exactly. They don't hold back at all, at
Yeah,
all.
exactly.
Mm.
So tell us a little bit about the book you've been writing, and that's coming out very shortly.
It is. So the book is about having lots of different ideas. As I said, I'm quite good at listening to people and realizing, excuse me, that you're talking about lots of different things and helping you narrow down and actually picking the idea you want to run with. So
Yes.
it's about saying, listing your ideas, and there are actually strategies in the book to say, these are my 30 ideas I've got ideas for, then, cross-matching them, and then really narrowing down what you want to work with and how to start that.
Yes. Yep.
Because
And
we all have 50 million ideas.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I can't wait to read it. I'm very excited to read it. But yeah, I
Yeah,
like that the concept of like, because I'm the same. I have a 50 million ideas, and to actually like narrow it down would help
yeah.
so much. What's like one of your strategies in the book that you can maybe can reveal tonight?
Well, it is actually, I always say, what do you like, listing your 3 big things you like talking about, you like watching, you like listening to. For an example, for me, I love anything on TV that's about, or, any streaming shows. I love a good old werewolf movie or vampire, or even historical, um, not so much as in religious, as in Catholic religious, but anything that has a religious or spiritual overtone. So I really like that. So what I really realized is that I quite like anything metaphysical, or anything
Yes.
like a bit different. So it doesn't have to be mainstream. I certainly don't watch chick flicks. I like anything that's a little bit different and out there. So that's when you actually write down all the shows you start liking and
Yep.
other things you like talking about or find interesting, then once you've got your other three big major lists, you actually will find half a dozen things that cross over so much it's not funny because you
Yes.
keep going
Yep.
back to be interested. Yeah.
Exactly. Like if you're like, oh, I always go to cooking shows, but you hardly cook, but
Yes.
you're always looking at cooking shows. You're like, well, there's an
Yeah. But
underlining tone to what you are interested in.
yes. And that could be you just like creating something, or
Yes.
it could be something as simple as that, or you wish you could
Mm.
know more, or you could be fascinated that
Yep.
how did they actually learn to mix this spice with this spice to get that
Yeah.
flavor?
And it might even, spike your interest to go and do a cooking course, and you don't know what will go from that, like just that one step
Exactly.
too. Now that's really cool. And so, when do you think your book will be out? What, you got a date yet?
This is a magic question, isn't it, sir?
This is
Well,
me.
what's the date
When is
today?
it coming out? So I want to read it.
Exactly, exactly. So I am putting a time limit myself. I want 2 to 3 weeks at the very most that it'll be out.
Yep, awesome.
Now
So
I've
when
said it really publicly, so
yeah, now that was my plan.
yeah, I
Um,
thought so. I thought so.
yeah, yeah. But yes, that'd be awesome. So how can people follow along with you and be able to see when the book is available and that kind of thing, and follow your journey as well? So
Well,
like your
all my
Instagram and
social handles. So
yep,
I'm guessing you'll pop them underneath the show
yes,
notes.
yep,
But everything I have is Victoria Beths, and it's
yes,
Victoria, and then Beth. It's like Beth with an S.
yes, yep,
So you'll find me no matter what, and my pictures on my face is on everything. So once you
yes,
start following along there, you can actually it'll start coming up as well.
yes. And because Vicki does a lot of artwork, you've got heaps of
Yep.
stuff up online too, like you do interactive workshops and everything as well.
Yes.
So
Yep.
it's
So I've got a
it's
few
great to
classes
follow along.
happening. So I teach art as well. So
Yep.
I teach groups at a great art school here in Toowoomba, and I'm also a finalist in an exhibition, and then planning to enter some other exhibitions. So they're on a personal level to just improve myself, getting out there a little bit more.
Yes. And you mentioned before you like the metaphysical. How does that play
So,
out in your everyday life?
well, many years ago, I had always been in loved everything that way, and then decided to get it. So I'd started studying a bit more. So I find that I can do certain things in that area of metaphysics. So, but I really do enjoy it, and I also do enjoy remote viewing, which if people are probably best to Google it, but it also is when you can actually say someone's got a picture hidden in an envelope, and you actually concentrate and write notes, and you can tell them what the target is, and everything like that. So I have a high interest in all that as well, along with
Yes.
ancient religion. So I quite like ancient religions as
Yes.
well. So that's something that I study quite a bit myself as well.
That's so interesting. Tell us the most interesting thing about that you've come across.
As in the metaphysical.
Yeah, anything that's like that you found like, oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, so probably I can do psychometry, which is when you say hold somebody's jewelry or something like that, you don't know, and do a reading. So I do like practicing all that, but I do probably like the whole remote viewing more so. So I am just
Yep.
starting to study that. So and the remote viewing was something that apparently the CIA and the KGB and everyone used in the Cold War, or at some stage where they'd use
Yep.
that for tracking everybody. So it's a
Mm,
psychic connection where people actually can find targets and tell them
that's amazing.
what's, you know, I could probably pick what's in your lounge room or something to that effect.
Wow.
So it's really
That's really cool.
quite good. So it helps you studying and helps your mind quieten far more, and I find it helps you become really focused.
Yes. How did you initially get into even knowing about that, or even get like knowing that you can do that?
Probably my interest in any movies like that. So you learn, you hear things, and then to get into the metaphysics, it probably was originally ages ago. I just started going to meditation. I meditate quite a bit. So going to meditation and everything growing from there. So
Yeah.
I meditate quite easily, and for long periods of time I can, if once I get going again. So even like when we travel, when I get on a plane, I can be asleep, put myself to sleep before the plane takes off. So I
Yeah.
find I can still my mind very quickly, which
Yes.
is a good thing.
Yep.
I always say
Yes.
to my husband, wake me up for the food trolley.
Because I'll be out.
Yeah, don't let me
I
sleep
wish
through
I could
dinner.
do that.
Yeah, because you get a bit nervous over flying, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I need to
Yeah.
I need to learn your tricks.
Yeah. No, I sit down and buckle up and get myself comfy, and I sleep sitting up, and
Yep.
bang, I'm asleep.
I know in our groups, in our classes, you're like, I can just go like that. Whenever we do a meditation, like a group meditation, you're like, I'm out.
Yep, I find, and that's what I find. You have to really make sure you bring me back.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Be like, Vicky.
Hey, where are you
Yeah.
there?
Are
So,
you there? Yeah.
and
Oh,
that's
that's
just probably because I have meditated for a long time, so I can
yes.
actually meditate quite heavily.
Yeah. How do you find a meditation helps you in your life?
I think it gives you a lot more connection with source, and it helps you. I truly believe we all come here knowing all that we're supposed to know. We've just got to access it at the right time. And whether you call it source, spirit, universe, God, once you have that connection with you to the earth in your body and to spirit, you actually start hearing the right answers for you.
Yes. Yep.
And you've got to learn to, whether you call that intuition or whatever, and then you learn to use it. And like I found, I was involved once with something that I was finding certain things, and it was difficult, and I found it was just annoying, to be honest. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna pull the pin and just say, oh look, something's come up, I can't keep continuing. So I meditated on it and said, should I stay? Should I jump ship? And I got a really strong thought in my head, no, stay. No, and every time I asked, it was no, stay. What that has happened for me staying in that situation at the time, and it wasn't a bad situation. It was just probably someone else was there, was probably driving me crazy, to be honest. And I thought, oh, can't be bothered with this. But what has happened is that the benefits for me has other things have come out in my art career,
Yeah.
because it
Isn't
was
that
to do with
amazing?
art.
Yep.
It was, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm just going to ditch this lot. But I've persevered, and I thought, well, either I'm here to learn a lesson, or I'm here for something to happen. Either I've got to meet somebody, or I'm learning a lesson to keep my mouth
Yes.
shut, maybe.
Yep.
And naturally, I think it's been for so I become more well known.
Yeah. Isn't that great? Like just
Yeah,
yeah. So meditation has helped you sort of also too be like patient as well. So you've meditated on it, said stay,
yeah,
and you could have made the rash decision and like said no, but instead you're like,
yeah,
okay, there must be a higher reason. I'm just going
yeah,
to wait it out.
yeah. So I've waited for the answer. So I also love that phrase that they call it, bloom where you planted.
Yep.
And I find, so even and using my art and as early days art is when I'm doing something and I'm thinking, oh, I don't really even know what to do next or how to progress. I bloom where I planted. So if
Yep.
something is presented to me, if someone says, would love for you to come and put some pieces in this show for me, I commit.
Yes.
And I go,
Yep.
yeah, I'll do it. What do you need? I do it because I believe that once I do that, the next door will open.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's not me to go out all the time and find it. Sometimes it'll just happen. I've got to act on what's been given to me.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. What's your favorite kind of art to do? What's your medium? What would you
I
call?
do acrylic, so acrylic, contemporary, bordering on abstract on a few things. but I
Mm.
quite like that, and I like a mixed media presence. I'd love to do sculpturing. So I think, I'd love to, because I'm doing portraits at the moment. So I'd really love to do a whole range of women in history that have changed or have stood up for women. So the likes of, anything that has Joan of Arc, anything like that, that takes my
Mm.
interest throughout history.
Yes.
I'm thinking of doing a whole women's section of doing these women, and then I would love to combine that into bust sculptures
Yep.
from my artwork. So that is a bit of a long-term project.
Yeah.
So
But
I
that would
just think
actually
that
bring in
it
all
is,
of your interests as well into like
yeah,
all your historic art.
exactly.
Yep. Sculptures.
Yeah. And
Mm.
there's women from either speaking out, women that have changed the world by being quiet.
Yep.
Over our history of our world, what was it, only 50 or 60 years ago, us women could get credit cards on our own.
Yep. Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of women that were quiet throughout history, but still changed history for us.
Still changed the course of history. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Even by being a peaceful warrior or whatever. There's so many women that have changed something for other women, or even for men as well. And that's not just a
Yep.
feminist woman thing. It's just probably something that's speaking to me at the moment.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's been very interesting. I can't wait for you to start that too.
Yeah. Mhm. It'll be almost like a year-long project, because
Yeah.
it will be for something. And I'm just chatting with somebody at the moment to organising all that as well.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's awesome. And then you mentioned
Yeah.
before that you've been a finalist in one of the art shows lately.
Yes,
What one was
here
that?
in
And
Toowoomba,
yep.
the Fair Home Open Art Show. So
Oh,
actually,
lovely.
if the listeners, if they just Google Fair Home Art Show, you can follow the links on their page. It's one of the big prestigious girls' school in Toowoomba. So, and it is a very boutiquey
Yes.
exhibition. So I've been in it before, and I've also applied before and had been rejected. But that's all good, because it depends what they're looking for that year, and
Yes.
sometimes all your work doesn't cut the grade.
Yes.
I
And
mean, and
it's also it's subjective really as well, isn't it?
yeah,
Like art is such a different medium where, it depends on the viewer as well.
exactly. So it's what they're looking for, the feel they want for that year, and
Yep.
I'm good with that. Do you know what I mean? But it has been really lovely. So it spurred me on to then look at other interest, and that's just helping with personal growth as well.
Yes. How do you deal with rejection? What's your biggest tip on how to deal with that if someone was to say no and put up a block?
Because I just honestly think it's like the best way I can describe it is, somebody once said to me, it was somewhere I worked, and this is relating it to hairdressing, is that the owner of the place I managed at the time, many years ago, wasn't a hairdresser. And she said to me, I really wish hairdressers would let us customers make up our own minds. And it was so true, how other people make up our minds. So I see a lot of things like that as now. So it's not something bad against me or my work or anything. It's that they have a criteria to fill,
Yep.
and they have probably had 1,500 applicants for maybe 40 spots.
Yep.
So, do you know what I mean? It's just a criteria. So the rejection means it means just not yet. That's all it means.
Yep. Yep.
It
And it's
means
a
you like red
redirection
apples
into
instead of
into
green.
something else too.
Yeah,
Yep.
you like red apples instead of green apples.
Yeah, exactly. And it also like making up your own mind as well of like, I don't think
Yeah,
it's bad. I'm going to go and find my people or find my thing, you know?
exactly. And that's
Mm,
all it is. We're all allowed to like something different.
yes. And also what's another question would be like, how do you go with competitors? Like say with hairdressing like when you were doing hairdressing and other artists, how do you go with competition and how do you see it?
I'm a firm believer in, I never check out the competition unless it's to praise them or to say how good they are, because
Yeah.
there's plenty out there for everybody. And I, even whether it was when we own salons and I was sitting, like your price list and everything like that, I never check out. what's available. Do you know what I mean? Same with my artwork. I do my artwork, submit it. You know, and if my fellow competition does really well and I think it's great, I'll actually message them and say, that looks fantastic, congratulations, that's great. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not their fault if I don't get in.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's a great thing to say, that you don't because comparison is the killer of joy. So rather than
Exactly.
comparing yourself, it's like we're all doing our own thing. There's enough for everyone. Like, it's a really
Mm.
good way of looking at it.
And the thing is, I don't want to be them, so why should I compare myself to them?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like being me. Do you know what I mean? Like when
Yep.
people compare themselves, they forget that you're not them. You don't have,
No.
they have, shitty parts in their life they don't like.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you,
Yep.
you just don't get to pick the best bits out of everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I like my life. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, so I comparison isn't a thing to me.
No, I think that's a great thing.
Yeah,
That's
you set
awesome, Vic.
yourself up for failure when you do that.
Yes, I think so too. And I think
Yeah.
then that's when you get muddled about what you're actually doing, because you're half copying someone and half doing this and half doing that and being
Yeah.
jealous of this person. It's no good.
No, exactly.
Not good for the
Just doesn't
psyche.
work.
No.
Yeah. It doesn't, does it?
And what is like your favorite quote, or something that you would tell your younger self that would help your younger self get through easier?
I'd say don't drop your dreams and don't stop. Don't get to the level when you're comfortable and you're making more money and you think, oh, this is good, when that isn't your ultimate dream.
Yep. Yep.
Keep
That's
going.
really good.
Because when you stop, because when you're making money, you go out more, you just thought, oh, I've got quite a nice little life happening. But the thing is, you've got no growth. All
Yep.
you're doing is maintaining.
Yes.
So
And you could do that for
eventually,
many years, really, couldn't you? Like when you're
yeah,
quite comfortable.
all you're doing is maintaining. And that's okay. I think if you redefine and that's your goals and you're happy
Yep.
doing that, I think that's fabulous. But if
Yep.
if you're still maintaining and think, oh, if it ever comes out of your mouth, oh yeah, my goal was this and I really wanted to do that, but we're okay. There's something short there. Do you know what I mean? So you still
Yes.
need to adjust your goals, or still go after them.
Yes. Yep. And that's where your book comes into. That would really help a lot of
Yeah,
people, I think. Um,
narrow down what those
really
goals are.
yeah, bringing out the goals, yeah, and the
Exactly.
dreams. Mm. Well,
Which
thank you
is
for
great.
being on this
My
podcast,
pleasure. I've
Vic.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've loved it. It's been really good. And I appreciate all of your support as always. And
Yep.
please follow Vicki along on Instagram, on Facebook, and watch her book come out in a couple of weeks. And her artwork is amazing. And she's an
Thanks.
amazing woman. So thank you, Vic. Thanks for being
Thanks,
here.
Sam. My pleasure, and I've enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Vic.
All right.
Thanks
See
for
ya.
tuning in, guys. Make love, not war with yourself. Peace.